The loss to the Raiders, even though we were out, we had like 18 players missing. The loss to the Raiders because of Michelle Stefanski or Michelle McCarthy, Stefanski's husband, is probably the toughest loss I've had since the Browns came back. The Butch Davis playoff loss, that was tough, but this one here felt different because at halftime I felt in the first half we didn't even try to do nothing. We just tried the or Michelle Stefanski's husband's method of just keeping the game close and hoping that they make a mistake and we'll capitalize on it somehow and we'll win. And it didn't work. And in the second half, we got some points. We moved the ball, which is weird for us because we usually only average 7 points in the second half all season. But for some reason, Michelle Stefanski's husband's team, they came back. And Michelle Stefanski's husband's team, they showed grit and determination, and they wanted to win the game. All these players down, and they deserved to win the game. But Michelle Stefanski's husband's play caller, who is basically a trained monkey now. He was not last year against Pittsburgh when they started making that comeback. What did he do? He opened it up. He threw that screen to Chubb. It was 60 yards, whatever. But he always had an answer. You can see this year he was very conservative to the point because I think he felt that they were talking about it earlier in the game how Michelle Stefanski's husband said that you guys open it up if you want, but I think that's just what he said because they didn't coach like that. And this is a tough loss from Michelle Stefanski's husband because we should have never lost this game. Even down all them players, we should have never lost it. And Michelle Stefanski's husband has just destroyed this team to the point where there's no return. It's a well-coached team, I have to say, because to play like that, undermanned like that, they're a well-coached team. They really are. But here's the problem. That's the problem with Michelle Stefanski's husband is he had a chance to rectify this all season. He did. And he's like the guy that a little kid that if you keep scolding him, you keep letting him get away with things, and then you finally say, that's it, you're going to juvenile, and then he changes. Like, okay, I'm done. I'll be a good kid. You know what I'm saying? That's how he is. That's what he needs, someone to tell him, listen, you take away play calling. But it's too late for that now because Michelle Stefanski's husband, his ego has killed the Cleveland Browns season. And everyone thinks it's just the play calling. And his play calling's terrible. There's no doubt. But watching Michelle Stefanski's husband's offensive coordinator play call, that was even worse. That was, oh my God. And like I said, he's a trained monkey now. But here's the problem with Michelle Stefanski's husband, why he needs to be fired. He could have rectified this earlier in the season. He could have changed his philosophy up. The 13 personnel philosophy does not work. You could bring it in short yardage, yes, but you don't run your whole offense based around it all the time. I mean, even when we spread the field out, it's usually 13 personnel with one wide receiver. You got Njoku out wide, what's his name, Bryant and fucking Hooper in the slot. It just doesn't make any sense in this day and age. And that's the problem with Michelle Stefanski's husband. He's an ego. He's stubborn, and he won't change. So I hate to say it. It is a well-coached team from that stand. It's a well-coached team from the standpoint that from playing with all them players out, it was well-coached. And I'm not so sure. I mean, look, Stefanski wasn't there, and it looked good. So they looked good against Pittsburgh last year when he wasn't there. So what's that tell you? Stefanski's replaceable. Michelle Stefanski's husband, or I should say maybe it's Kevin McCarthy. We're going to go Michelle McCarthy Stefanski. I'm just going to call him Kevin McCarthy because to me, that's who he is. So Kevin McCarthy, to me, he got to be fired because this team can function. You seen it the other night. They actually, to be honest with you, they function better without him. And I think once you get rid of Michelle or Kevin McCarthy, I think Alex Van Pelt will be freed from the cancer, and I think he'd call a better game. So honestly, I don't think you have any choice but to fire him. Make Mike Purfer the head coach. And Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator. As long as Kevin McCarthy's gone, this team will be a lot better. Trust me, it'll be a lot better in the long run. This team, and I guarantee you, if Jimmy Haslam had a vote right now, if he called every player and said, listen, I'm either going to make Mike Purfer the head coach and fire Kevin McCarthy, would you guys like that? And they'd all say, I guarantee you they'd all go with it. Guaranteed. They know the problem. It's Kevin McCarthy's offensive philosophy. I've said this for the last 2 years. It's gotten rid of Stephon Diggs. It's gotten rid of Odell Beckham. And he doesn't emphasize using wide receivers. What's the point? Hey, in the game against Baltimore, we needed 60 seconds, 85 yards. He had one wide receiver on the field. It was Landry the whole time. And he just ran Diggs and fucking curls. It's not working. And it's just not there. So if you get rid of Kevin McCarthy, I'm confident Mike Purifer and Alex Van Pelt, this team would be great. Keep them two. Keep everybody else. Just get rid of Kevin McCarthy, Michelle Stefanski, or Michelle McCarthy's husband. Get rid of him, and we're good. And I'll be honest with you, I'd have no problem if we did this week. And I don't even care if we start Nick. I have no problem starting Nick Mullens. Honestly, Nick Mullens. If it was my team right now, and I was coaching this team, number one, the playbook would be opened up, and I'd start Nick Mullens, no doubt about it. But I'm going to let you know right now, in this offense, if I was running the team, I'd have Mayfield out there gunning. I'd have him slinging the ball. We'd be dominant. But I can tell you right now, I could win with Nick Mullens because what Nick Mullens does better than Baker Mayfield is, he manipulates the pocket beautifully. He has a calm about him in the pocket. You know, Baker Mayfield looks like a jackrabbit. And to be honest with you, he reminds me of Aaron Rodgers when he manipulates the pocket. The way he just moves around the pocket, real calm. Nothing gets him nervous. And you notice a difference with Mayfield. He's just like a jackrabbit. But I would definitely, if I was running the team right now, I could win with Nick Mullens. I could. He doesn't have the arm Mayfield has, but I could win with him. And I could design an offense that could win with either. I could win with him or Mayfield. But as far as mechanics go, there's no doubt Nick Mullens. He has it. He does. And I like him. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers. I'm not talking arm strength. I'm just talking the way he looks in the pocket. But as long as we keep Purifer and Van Pelt and everybody else, we're good. Kevin McCarthy is definitely replaceable. This team functions fine without him. But like I said, you could see when Kevin McCarthy wasn't in Pittsburgh last year, Alex Van Pelt called a beautiful game. He comes back, trained under Kevin McCarthy for the last, year, and you could see it got to him. He's not the same play caller. And that's why if you get rid of Kevin McCarthy, this team will function beautifully. It really will. And like I said, I got no problem with Nick Mullens. To be honest with you, if I had a choice right now, I'd probably keep Mullens over Mayfield for the simple fact is Mayfield's like a child. I think Mayfield will be a dominant player in this league. I do. And he's going to go to another team. I think he'll be good. But to me, he's like a child. I mean, he was live tweeting the other day during the game. Live tweeting. And that said to me, and I know Case Keenum was, but that just said to me, what's your problem, bro? And then he responded to one of the biggest fucking non-talented nerds ever. Sir Twat, Sir Spam, Sir I need attention, I'll cry, whatever. He responded to him during the game, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, you're not only watching the Browns play the biggest game of their season, but you're actually reading your mentions? You're reading that tells me he reads his mentions. So he's reading his mentions the whole time. And I'm thinking to myself, what a fucking clown. Is this the guy we want leading our team? He says nothing gets to him, the outside noise, but apparently it does, obviously, because, he's reading people's mentions during the game. So I'd roll with Nick Mullens. I would. Honestly, if I was the coach right now, Jimmy, if you want me to keep Baker, I can. But I could definitely cut Mayfield and win with Mullens. Or I can win with Mayfield. It doesn't matter. But I will say this. If I had Baker Mayfield right now and I was the coach, number one, all his Instagram, Twitter, they'd all be deleted. Not lying dormant, private. They'd be deleted. And if he couldn't do that, then he'd be out of the league. He'd be off my team. But yeah, he would not be live tweeting. He wouldn't be on because that's embarrassing. You're a professional quarterback, and not only are you live tweeting during the biggest game of the fucking season, you're responding to people reading your mentions. I'm not saying just because he responded to one, he would have responded to everybody if he could. I'm just at the fact that he's reading his mentions. That's embarrassing. Who reads their mentions? When you're famous like that, does anybody actually read their mentions? When I used to tweet years ago, when I had all these followers, the first time, I never read my mentions. I did at first, but then I never read them because I got too many of them. But this guy reads them, so there's a problem. And I think that Kevin McCarthy should be fired after this season. Make Mike Purifer the head coach, Alex Van Pelt offensive coordinator. This way you don't have any turnover. Everything's still the same. You have no turnover. You get rid of the cancer and Kevin Stefanski. You have to insist on running a high school offense that doesn't work at this level. You have Mullens there in case, Mayfield doesn't. Hey, I think Mayfield in a regular offense will play great. I do. And if Mayfield shits the bed after 4 or 5 games, then you got Mullens to turn to. That's my plan. So, Jimmy, I gave you an outline for what your problem is, and I guarantee you I can correct it. But Kevin McCarthy, Michelle McCarthy's husband got to go. He's terrible. Worst coach we've ever had. He's an egomaniac with a stubborn personality that it's just not. He could have fixed this 5 weeks ago, and we could have been in the playoffs. The Steelers, the Ravens, the Chargers, and now the Raiders game that he lost ended our season effectively.